All right, guys, welcome back to Midwest Long Range.
Ooh. Oh, are you filming? Sorry.
All right.
Two.
Today, we're pulling out all the stops. It's all here. Rim fire, center fire, carbon fiber, micarta, chassis, optics, you name it, we've got it. And we're going to talk about some differences in stocks and how they feel. All right, guys, we're going to get into this. Let's go. All right, guys, so like I said, we're going to go over everything. We're going to do another BS at the Bench episode. It's been a long time since I did the last one. I did the last one with Josh and Doug Bose when we were up at Gadsden, when you first got here in town, really. Dalton hasn't been on camera with me in a while. I think since some of the Ruger precision stuff.
Something like that, yeah.
You did just kind of a glance in,
Yep.
but we ain't done like a video together.
I've been behind the scenes, behind the camera.
He's been recovering from that addictomy.
True story.
Oh, shit.
All right,
It's going to be one of those episodes.
Oh,
We're not getting monetized today, boys.
All right, Dick Four.
So, one thing we wanted to go over today is just talking about like the differences between different stocks, right?
Yep.
We all of us have shot enough that it doesn't take much to tell the difference when you grab a hold of this. Just the way you index with it, the way it feels, the different ways it can function, the mobility differences between it, a chassis, or a hybrid system. So, what we got sitting up here, we got a Foundation MG2. This is a true stock,
Yep.
right? Even though it is micarta, but there's no bedding block, there's no pillars. This is just precision CNC machined inlet with a couple of oopses from putting stuff with.
The wrong inlet.
No, it was the
Trigger
bolt
pins,
release
or
on
bolt
the
release, yeah.
mag deal.
I think every foundation has that. Unless it's new.
I know personally, between him and a few of the other guys that have these MG2s, we haven't really tested the limits on what a fucking inlet will and will not fit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that one that I got, it looks like termites moved in and did their own thing, because I put a recoil lug that was too big, and the crazy thing about them is it tells you it doesn't want to go, but you just keep going and it goes.
But John, Kyle, and the guys over at Foundation, they inlet every one of these stocks to a particular action. It's not just a generic 700 footprint inlet. This particular one is inletted to a 727 impact, I believe.
737.
737.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't shoot that Oklahoma stuff, so I don't know.
I didn't even know
You're welcome, Bud Weber.
I didn't know all those footprints existed until I got a Foundation, because somebody asked me, what's it inlet for? I'm like, a 700. And then he's like, no, that one's for like a TL3, and I was like, what the hell's the difference?
Well, and
yours is inletted for a TL3.
That may be something worth noting here. I mean, we all kind of have it's marketed that if you have a 700 footprint action and you buy a 700 footprint stock, it's going to fit. It's a universal system, the plethora of parts that go together.
Yeah.
But there's little nuances that, well, honestly, I figured out more from him owning these foundations, that your recoil lug width, thickness, the length of the action, where the bolt rides in the action in the stock, the interface there. I mean, a lot of little stuff starts interfering with stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why they always tell you on the more cookie cutter ones.
Yep.
When you're doing your torque tension on these screws, is you kind of drop this down to settle that recoil lug against it. But it kind of makes you wonder, even on those, on some of the mini chassis or the full-fledged chassis guns, why don't we bed the recoil lugs in them?
Well, that's kind of a popular deal with gunsmiths. There's a lot of gunsmiths that are in the industry where they believe in at least skim bedding everything.
Yeah.
When I first kind of got into not precision long range, but just back when we used to do varmint guns and stuff, I used a lot of like HS Precision stocks.
Yeah.
Mainly because you could buy a factory 700 and get it with it.
Yeah.
Hey, we had to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But my gunsmith down the road here, he's like, hey, we need to skim bed those HS Precisions. They put torque on the action.
Yeah.
Did it not? I don't know. They usually shot better when I got them back.
Yep.
I can 100% tell you that a foundation inletted for a 737 impact, if you put a Curtis Axiom in it, you will have to clearance the recoil lug ever so slightly. It will not go in there.
Yep. I see you did some self-clearancing on this one.
Well, we used a mill.
I'll say that was a quarter-inch end mill.
We made do with what we had.
He said that to mine as the TL3 inletted foundation as I took a Curtis Axiom into it. He was telling me about milling it as I was cranking it, the recoil lug in. I'm like, oh, you mill it?
Josh says, yeah, we're just gonna keep going.
In reality, mine's gonna hold a rimfire. So
yeah, but so like I was saying here, this is a true stock. No extra hardware, no metallic anything in here to assist with compression
it's
or anything
all
like that.
One piece, one material.
One piece, one material. Now, if you want to go one piece, one material, but the extreme in the other direction,
chassis.
You have a full-blown chassis. I mean, you can go, ACC, whatever. I mean, there's 100 of these things out there, MPAs.
MPA KRG with a new C4.
Yep.
Yeah, that thing looks wicked.
Yeah, it looks wicked expensive. It's like $1,900.
Yeah, that ain't a joke.
And I'm still trying to get one.
Yeah. So with the ACC, right, so now we're talking complete opposite the other direction. The whole chassis, the whole stock is the bedding block.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This thing is metallic from one end to the other. You can, outfit this thing like your classic, Barbie and Ken AR-15 style stuff.
Yep.
I love it.
Sorry.
Tactical.
Why you say sorry to me?
I can't. I'm picking on the little man, but
I took my laser off the side of it.
I know, right? Literally, my logo has an ACC in it because my true first precision gun was in an ACC, and I do really like these chassis. But there's a lot of questions out there. Do they mess with the harmonics? Do they, If you're shooting in cold weather, I can 100% attest that this thing's kind of a pain in the butt to carry around without gloves. Because I did it in the snow.
Well,
We've got that on video.
Yeah.
It was snowing its ass off.
Another thing with weather, aluminum it's a material that's been known forever that on the different weather temperatures, extremes, whenever you're bolting a steel action into an aluminum bedding block or chassis, the aluminum is going to expand and contract. Now, to what degree it does with anodizing and coating and whatever else they've done out of the manufacturer doesn't matter. In all reality, no matter what it is, you got to retorque your screws.
Yeah. So, now there's one more option outside all of this, right? You've got a stock, you've got a chassis, you got a hybrid system. The hybrid, and what we're showing today, is a Manners PRS-1. This is a carbon fiber shell with some kind of fill. You're more
carbon fill. It's carbon fiber shell with a carbon composite fill or lightweight composite fill.
Yeah. And that one has Manners mini chassis system, DBM mini chassis.
Yep.
So this is kind of both worlds combined into one.
Yep.
You get the weight reductions of a stock, which the foundation is not a great example of weight reduction.
No,
this is like weight at its maximum. This is
Yeah.
dense and heavy. But when you're shooting center fire on a foundation, there's nothing else like it.
No.
At 100%, nothing is like shooting a foundation, but especially if you're behind something with actual recoil. We're not talking BRs or whatever. I'm talking Creedmoors and up.
Well, even just
22 mag kind of stuff.
Yeah. But no, even in the recoil department, like harmonics, I guess, they're
just so dead.
One of their claim to fame is that exactly is it's such a dense material that it eats up a lot of the harmonics.
Yeah, kills them.
Where Manners too, and a lot of guys I feel like don't really know this. As I've talked to them, well, you for instance, you asked me the other day when you was ordering one. They offer a double dead option when you order a stock, and a lot of guys ain't aware of it. And it's kind of the same thing. It's either a fiberglass or carbon fiber shell, and they more or less change the recipe and the amount of fill they put in them, and it kind of emulates or mirrors what Foundation does with the Micarta.
The chassis are more like a resonator.
Yeah, tuning fork.
Well, when you have like a stock CZ barreled action in one of those, it actually changes the sound that you hear
majorly.
when you fire it.
Yeah.
It sounds like a ting.
Just running the bolt
ting,
even.
Ting. Yeah, you can hear the whole, like,
the whole thing.
The whole chassis kind of resonates with it. But but I haven't really seen anything crazy though out of that.
No,
but I mean, we play that game with tuners and stuff all the time, right?
Yeah.
It's got. I think it has.
Hot button.
Hot button. Do tuners work?
Yeah, for the 29,000th video on YouTube.
Hey, I've got at least 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, I know.
I'm pretty sure you go to my most viewed videos. I think it's the second one down.
Yeah.
Tuner.
Everybody's got one. I mean, because it's something that they work.
Oh, they
fundamentally,
do.
it's impossible.
There's no
for
question
them not to
that they work.
Yeah.
And in center fire, I think they're fairly consistent.
Yep.
Yeah.
But in rimfire, consistency scares the crap out of me.
Well, like I talked to you the other day, I mean, I'm guilty of it too.
We're supposed to be talking about stocks. We get down Tuner Avenue. This is going to be here a while.
So, digress on tuners, but like you said, there's no question whether they work. It's just personal preference, and I think really how diligent are you when you actually do a tuner test?
Well, I'm not. Since we're on the platform. Somebody else did a video too, but we talked about this. But if you have a rimfire, like your gun, and you know most probably 99% of rimfires, as temperature and things change.
Oh, yeah.
Guns shoot tighter and open up. So my thing with a tuner is, of course, the tuners work, and Eric's tuners are some of the best in the game because he just has such attention to detail, and I like his tuner. But if you have something that's not consistent day in, day out all year, how do you ever expect the tuner settings you dial in to stay consistent? It's impossible.
Exactly.
And so unless you're a bench rest shooter where you can tune it on the fly or you don't mind tuning it every time, but rimfires change seasonally and by location. And so it's crazy to me that people think they're going to put a tuner on it, and then that's just going to, don't touch it, and it's going to be great. It's going to change and ebb and flow with the gun. Sometimes better, sometimes worse. But, back to stocks.
Yeah, back to stocks. So, Dalton and I we took some measurements on a plethora of stocks, as you would have saw in the intro to this video. We took out everything. But pertaining to like these 3 sitting up here, right? We'll start with the Foundation. Dalton measured the grip width.
So this is more or less going to be the amount of palm swell it has at the widest point that I measured with a pair of calipers. More or less how much wrap or hand can you get around it? What's the widest point going to be when you index it?
Yeah. You measured the width and
grip length or height. So more or less how much grip is there? You got smaller hands like I do. I can get all 4 fingers, all 3 fingers on there. Bigger handed guy like Chris, he maybe have to drop the pinky. Yeah.
And then you also measured from the
action screw.
What was that?
Oh, there's a weight. Yep.
Mine.
Mine.
So he measured from like this face to the action screw, so that we can more or less just index how much distance we have. We get an understanding of what the delta is between each one of these stocks.
That was one of the main points I wanted to really do with this video. Anybody can get online and look at these stocks on the website, and not bashing any of these companies, but they offer all the generic measurements. It's going to be what the comb height is, what it adjusts to, what the length of the forearm is, the weight, yada yada. But just in manners, and all the models I've got, a lot of them differ a lot between the length of the grip to the well, where you're indexing the trigger, where the trigger is. For a smaller-handed guy like me, I like a certain model of Manners where he doesn't necessarily like it. We thought.
But I own a Manners T4A team, and you have the T2A gap.
Yep.
We were under the assumption, making an ass out of you and me, that the gap, the T2A, had a shorter length from the trigger to the grip.
So my understanding on this was, or perception, I guess, was, and this is, if anybody from Manners, Robert Brantley, if you happen to watch this, thanks for watching, by the way. But secondly, answer this for me. I was always under the assumption T4 had a longer grip angle to the trigger, where the T2 did not. That was the main difference in it. Besides the butt hook change, whether it had one or didn't, was the grip length or angle. But as we measured my T2A gap and his T4A team, they were the exact same. I mean, length, gap, the whole 9 yards.
You'll never know. But yeah, like you said, they were 100% the same. The grip width on the T2A gap was 2.035. On the T4A team, we were at 2.05. I physically can't tell the difference, in a measurement that small.
Yep.
And the other two measurements, the grip height or length,
Yeah. So this distance here.
I'll zoom in. But that distance came out to 3.1 inches. And then from the grip to the action screw, giving us some kind of relative measurement for the trigger, came out at 1.25 inches, which, to the trigger would be a little bit further.
Yeah.
But these measurements were exactly the same, down to the 10,000s.
Yeah.
Between the two stocks, which really caught us off guard. Which, if you're wondering, where that two?
I got them.
This is how this usually goes.
Yeah.
So, this is a T2A gap. This is Dalton's stock, his PRS stock. That's my T4A team. It's currently on the Voodoo, but going forward, it's probably going to be on one of my PRS guns that we will talk about in a later...
This week. This week?
No. No, that gun's got to go visit a man in Arizona about a barrel.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Chris switches out gear like it's...
I don't switch.
Like his underwear.
Please. Like his underwear, exactly.
Once a month.
Well, I believe it. Variety is the spice of life, okay?
There you go.
Just, my wife doesn't agree.
Yeah. See, the benefit is I own three ACCs. At any given point, I've told my wife it's the same gun. So, if you buy the same chassis over and over and over again, you just tell her, no, I changed the barrel. Oh, no, this is the same gun.
Yeah.
Yep. So, with those three measurements in mind, right? Like we were talking about with the T2A, the T4A, we go to the foundation. You think about those stocks, they had a grip width over 2 inches.
Yep. Very large promise wheel.
The foundation came in at 1.89. And you can physically feel that much. You grab a hold of it, it is noticeably narrower. I shoot this gun in PRS most of the time. On actually that barreled action, we've got stuff all over the place right now. Hawkins, if you see this, please help me on a bottom metal. I'm in desperate need.
I wouldn't do it.
But
that's probably why I like this, because I have a.
You got them little bitty Donald Trump hands.
It was huge.
Huge! It was huge! It was amazing!
Something else I kind of wanted to mention on that, I noticed when I measured the manners, a lot of the palm swells were pretty uniform through the grip, or on the foundation, if you look at it, it's just got a real wide bubble in one section of it, then it slims back down.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of abrupt and then gone.
I would love to sit down with John Kyle and just talk through his process on where he came up with that geometry, because it works. It works for my hand.
Oh, yeah.
I like it. I've owned a pair of those. Love them. Everybody keeps asking me why I got rid of the one on my Voodoo. And it just came down to the simple fact that on a rimfire, I didn't need that much weight.
Yeah.
I'm heavy enough by myself. I don't need any extra help being heavy. You, on the other hand, you need to eat some chicken and dumplings or something. I'm telling you. It's like,
I think what people like, and you included, people don't mind a heavy rimfire. They mind carrying the heavy rimfire from stage to stage. That's the difference. They don't miss.
Majorly.
Yeah, nobody is like, oh man, I wish I didn't make this gun 21 pounds when you put it on that bag and it doesn't move at all. Yeah. It's when you have to pick it up and carry it to the next set of stages that you're like, why is this gun 21 pounds?
Even moving around during the stage. So my right shoulder's toast. Okay, yeah. I've had some work done in there. I've got a bunch of scar tissue built up around the ball, and like I tore my rotator cuff and stuff. So like trying to pick that rifle up and carry it around during the stage, if we're in and out of stuff, by the end of the stage, when we're cracking off the last couple of shots, some guys are thinking steady, breathe, squeeze trigger, boom. In my head, I'm thinking, crap, my shoulder hurts really bad. Can this please get over with? Somebody call time. I'm dying here. So.
That's odd. Usually for me at the end of the stage, I crack off the last round. I'm like, what the hell just happened?
I got to see that firsthand.
Yeah.
We've seen that a couple weekends ago.
Yeah.
No,
last weekend.
We shot that NRL 22X match, which you shot pretty good, really.
Don't get
me wrong. I've seen you shoot better than that.
Yeah.
But you visibly, like, you said you had like a migraine. I don't know what was wrong with you. You looked
Oh yeah,
like
that
death.
morning was rough. Yeah, it was. I think I woke up and I had like a massive headache, like right in the front of my head, and then my eyes. As soon as I got out there, my eyes started burning, which was like weird. I was like, my eyes are burning. I got a headache, and then I just wasn't like. I felt like I had no energy, and then we started shooting, and it eventually got better. But I hate, and when you shoot, I shot a whole stage that was like 15 points, and I dropped 9 shooting over top of the targets. But once you like kind of get in the zone of being pissed off while you're shooting, I saw them go over the top, and I just started holding wherever and just like sending stuff. And I get in that little tunnel of like, I don't know what's happening, and I get irritated and get mad, and yeah, it wasn't good.
Well, and then you got Bud Weber over there with his damn headphones on, and he's singing Taylor Swift and having just a grand old time, just impact. I kid you not, like Bud, he gets those stupid headphones on. Sorry, I don't mean they're stupid, Bud, but they're fucking dumb.
The Boses.
I think they're JBLs.
Oh yeah, they were.
And he gets. I watched him. He's sitting over there before we go to shoot this. I can't remember. I think it was a school bus or something. He's like the only person all day to clean the damn thing. And he's sitting back there and he's singing, doing whatever. And he comes up to the first window. I think I even got it on video. I think I put it on like Facebook or something. But he goes up there and he just closes the bolt so gentle. He looks like he's moving in slow motion.
That's how they always look when they're good.
Yeah, I'm like...
That's like a thing with all... The funniest thing was he was like... He shot one stage and he didn't do that great. But he said as he got on the prop, he was listening to AC/DC like Thunderstruck. And then as soon as he started shooting, the song switched to I'm a Loser Baby.
I think he listened... So, you remember the Crazy Train stage?
Yeah.
I think he was listening to Crazy Train while he shot that.
I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I need to focus on the stage, but
it would be just kind of, you're out of your head. And this is something I've always wondered, especially with myself. I always try to be mentally prepared, but I think you kind of get to a certain threshold where you worry about being mentally prepared so much you start playing head games with yourself. But
yeah, mental management.
Yep.
Amen.
Tough.
But also, if you're not comfortable in your gear, if you're fighting your gear, if you don't have a proper fit, you're just gonna be frustrated all day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now,
well, certain people like to switch crap before matches.
I have shot that stock on that voodoo.
Yeah. He shot this stock on that voodoo that's now going in another stock for no apparent reason.
It'll
to be
be
shot
back
at the
in
next
that one before the next match.
Next week,
Yeah.
like I said,
Yeah. But I preach a lot. I mean, it's with any shooting. Your brain can only do one conscious effort at one time. So it's a reason why you just naturally breathe. Because if you had to tell yourself to inhale and exhale, you would never be able to do anything else. So if you're trying to do something like shooting, where everything is complex and you're not comfortable in your gear and you don't know your dope, you have to go up there and basically just do one thing. And if you're shooting precision rimfire, that has to be read and make wind calls. You have to do that. So the positions, the shooting, the equipment, everything else needs to be unconscious or subconscious effort.
muscle memory.
Yeah, so if you really want to practice and you really want to be a better competitor, you'll go out and do practice that sucks to do, but it's go out and practice off props and say, today I'm going to make every trigger pull I make is going to be perfect. And who cares where the bullets go? Who cares how long it takes you? And then the next time you're going to say, I'm going to build the most stable position I can, or the best position every time I move. And then who cares what the trigger break is? Who cares where the bullet goes? And then you just keep micro breaking all these things down, but you have to do it enough, and you have to remember to basically kind of congratulate yourself and say, yeah, those trigger breaks, because your brain needs positive reinforcement for your brain to say, I did it this way every time. This was good, and that worked. Okay, now I'm going to build that myelin or whatever they call it. Basically, that so unconscious effort into your brain, and you've got to do that, to be, real competitive.
Yeah.
Well, and part of the reason why we're talking about stocks today, and I feel like the information we're trying to give out is relevant, is if you find a stock that fits you, you're winning half the battle there.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're not having to worry about fighting the stock or the stock fighting you or indexing right every time.
Yeah. Another interesting point is I just did that camp video.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people who watch that just aren't positional shooters, which I get. There's a small portion of us, but we're talking about rifle cant, how much it works, and people argue the fact that you can't level your reticle based on a level rifle, and that's really pretty subjective because 90% of PRS shooters do exactly that, because when you shoot off of this thing and then this thing and then that thing, you have to have something to do that off of. They talk about, building into, if you normally naturally hold the rifle here to level your reticle based off your natural hold. Well, that works, but how often are you naturally holding it when your rifle's on a stump and you're on a sideways hill and you're running up to it, so, but having the same setup, and having repeatability and getting the same grip every time and all that stuff obviously goes into a lot into it.
So back into the whole stock thing.
I was hoping that was going to fall right on your mic. Just drop and go. Psst.
So yeah, I mean, we talked about that. This particular stock's 1.89 inches wide, 2.65 inches in height, and 1.1 from our index point to the grip.
Yep.
You take that in consideration with the PRS-1. The PRS-1 over 2 inches wide, 2.145. Okay, so there's a noticeable difference. There's a quarter inch of difference there roughly. 3.1 inches in height. So again, now I got another 3/8, basically another 3/8 to a half inch of
length
of grip there. For somebody, they call me bear paw sometimes, but it, here, my pinky finger hangs off of this stock, which generally the way I shoot, that doesn't affect me too much because I'm bad. I'm bad not to close that bottom finger anyway.
Kind of float, yeah.
And I'll sometimes I'll jam it up if I have to or whatever. It just, and that's me not doing the same thing every time like these guys are talking about. But so there's some noticeable differences there. Now you jump over to the ACC. The ACC is where things get really weird, really different. Because the way MDT made this thing, this grip back here is adjustable forward and backwards. It can cant, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you can put a little can in there.
So you can adjust that to fit you. That's where some of the chassis kind of have an advantage in some aspect, right?
Yep.
Over some of the stocks is the adjustability. But then, like we said before, there's some downturns to the chassis as well. If you're trying to shoot, there's some comfort things to it. I don't feel like they're as comfortable when I grab it and I pull it into my face.
Yep.
Like as a cheek riser kind of thing?
Well, just the cheek riser, all these ridges and sharp points and what have you. Now,
but it makes it look cool.
It does look cool.
Thank you.
And I used to play a lot of golf, and I don't care what anybody says. If when you walk up to the rifle or the golf club or whatever, if you don't think it's sexy when you go to grab a hold of it,
yep,
it doesn't matter. You aren't going to shoot it good.
That's why I never grab a hold of you.
I love you too, Josh. Just so you know. But if it's not visually appealing, like it's already off-putting.
Yep, exactly.
Mentally, because shooting is a mental game, like we've been talking about. If it doesn't look right, no matter how good it fits, mentally you possibly could have that check mark in your brain, like, nope, not right, that ain't working. Got to move on, go to the next one.
Absolutely.
That's why these have ruined manners for me. I shot that was a TC4, the newest one they just came out with.
The
TCS.
Yeah, so my buddy had one, and I shot it on the Voodoo on the channel, but
I remember
even
that.
after that, I like that, but once you get a hold of, this guy, if I'm going to have something that looks like a stock, this is going to be
beautiful.
Yeah, because not only is it doesn't look like your grandfather's, stock off his Henry 22, but it has, a classy look, but it has all these cutouts for weights, and it's super dense, and the thing is just freaking nice. If they would just maybe not sell them for $1,300, I could own more than one.
The bad thing is, in that intro, right? Wait a minute, you said $1,300. What's the retail?
Those are $13. And I own 3. That's what I'm saying. I've got 4 stocks that cost $1,300. I hit my cap.
With the manners, right? Or not the manners, shit. The ACC, the grip width, now that is a fixed deal there because this is the newer Gen 2 grip. I have a Gen 1 in the house on a different chassis, but it comes in at 1.65 inches, so noticeably it is the narrowest out of all of these. But I had one of these, and actually that really didn't bother me.
Yeah.
You would think it would, since I really prefer what's on the
larger
RS1 and the T4A.
Yep.
You would think I that would have bothered me a lot, and it really didn't. I think it had something to do with the way they mill the thumb shelf in.
Yep.
I was already kind of pulled out to this outermost point, and it just kind of worked. But and the grip height is 1.775. Now you go back and you look at some of these others again. Even where's it at? The Foundation grip height, 2.65 inches.
Yeah.